all of us. And then for the planet, captures green factors like energy, pollution, emissions, and for profit economy, because a lot of people like to relate sustainability with environmentalism, which is great. It correlates, but the profit part is really important as well. It's to assess businesses, and that is the business environment and economic health. So we move on. So why sustainable development? Like, why is it important? So it's the kind of development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So this is why we're doing this. This is why we're all here. Thank you. And for the outline of topics, our first speaker will be Tommy Eden from the United Kingdom. He's the founder of Bamboo Brush, and he will be talking to you guys about plastic pollution and technically how to raise awareness through the power of social media. Hi, Tommy. Can you unmute yourself?
Hey, Kia.
How are you?
Can everyone hear me?
All right. Let's welcome Tommy, guys.
Hey. Can everyone hear me okay?
I can hear you. Perfect.
Perfect. All right. I'm ready to go. 1 second. Let me share my screen and then I'll be with you. Okay. Can everyone see that? Just to make aware. Thumbs up. Perfect. Okay. Yeah. So thank you, Kia. Thank you for letting me join and talk about everything that we're doing at Bamboo Brush. And then, yeah, it's a privilege to see so many take photos, videos. We believe at our company and my personal self that social media is such a great platform to share this awareness around such an important topic. So my little 10-15 minutes of talking, I'm just going to go through the story of how we started at Bamboo Brush really briefly, everything that we're doing, and everything we're looking to do in the future, and then how we as people, as businesses, as charities can work together to create change. So hopefully you'll get a bit of an all-round picture of our views and how we believe we can make positive change. Okay, so just a brief background into myself and Rebecca and at Bamboo Brush, how it started. So our story really was based around traveling, to be honest. So for me, I say traveling, but living and working abroad around the world for the last 6 years. For Rebecca, it was quite a bit longer. She was about 10 years. She's been living abroad and working, and specifically in Asia. So we spent a lot of our time traveling to lovely countries. A lot of you guys are from these lovely countries like Philippines, Cambodia, Thailand, everywhere like that. But what started to happen was we were picking up jobs in social media. We built up a little bit of a following. And then we started to do the typical social media influencer lifestyle, which is pretty cringe, but it was a nice life for a couple of years. And we started to revisit places that we'd been on quite a few occasions and revisit them after a couple of years. And what started to happen was we started to see such an impact and an increase in the amount of plastic pollution that was ending up in our oceans, on our beaches, in the environment. And it started to really, I wouldn't say affect us, but we were like, this is not right. So we did a little bit of research into plastic pollution. Hands up, naively, it got to a point where, because we were spending a lot of our time in Asia, plastic pollution became the norm. And that's really bad from us, but it was like, it wasn't as hard hitting. It wasn't until we got a job in Europe, which is obviously a lot closer to home. I'm from the United Kingdom, and we traveled around Europe for 8 weeks. A fantastic job, but we started to see that plastic pollution wasn't just in Asia; it was all over the world, and this was a global issue, and this is so poignant and so perfect right now with the amount of people that are in this group from all over the world, and we can all kind of see how bad plastic pollution is becoming. So yeah, so we saw all this plastic pollution in Europe, and it was a lot more hard hitting. So what we started to do was do more research into plastic pollution, and we started to be a bit more specific with the companies that we were working with. So ones that were more focused on sustainability and being plastic free. And I say again, we did more research, so we kind of grew our knowledge around plastic pollution. We hold our hands up as a company, and as myself and Rebecca as founders, we're not experts. We've seen the worst of plastic pollution, and we're trying to do something about it. So I don't want to go into too much of the facts around plastic pollution because there's so much on the internet. I do want to show you some videos. So I'm hoping that I can just click on this and that will work. Can I give a thumbs up if you can see that? Anyone? Can you see the beach? Yeah, fantastic, thank you. So this is just some of the footage that we were seeing on a daily basis around plastic pollution. I mean, that's not really a thing. And then I do have one more video which I want to show, which is quite a hard hitting. It's not hard hitting, but we found it quite hard hitting. There's no sound on this, but this was in the Philippines. Obviously, a lot of you are from Philippines. Amazing place called Mobile, and plastic in the water. Turtle, as you can hopefully see. And the turtle goes to eat that plastic bag. And I mean, like, that's, for us, that wasn't right. Let me just, so yeah, so we did more research. We were seeing this on a daily basis. Just a few facts for everyone. I'm sure you've seen so much of this, but 8 million metric tons of plastic enter the oceans every year, which equates to about one garbage truck or trash truck of plastic entering our oceans every minute, which was beyond me. And by 2050, there'll be the ratio of one piece of plastic to every fish, which, what, I mean, I don't want to swear, but what the hell is that about? So we were looking into how we could make an impact. We've got this following. Me and Rebecca built up a following of like 50,000 people between us. We had this loyal following. How can we make an impact? So we wanted to have our own product. And the research, we say we're not experts, but we were like, we need something to be simple, that we can all make simple changes. And 3.6 billion plastic toothbrushes are sold around the world every year. The majority of them end up into landfill, or even worse, ending up in our oceans. So just times that number by the amount of how many years that's been, it's just beyond me. But a common misconception is that plastic breaks down and then it disintegrates and biodegrades. It doesn't, especially in the ocean. What actually happens is the plastics break up into smaller microplastics. It's a bit of a cool word to use at the moment, but microplastics, because of all the solar panel, the solar heat from the sun, and then you've got the salinity, the salt from the ocean and the tide. It just softens the plastic, and then the plastic breaks up into smaller microplastics. And I've got some toothbrushes here that we found on the beach, which kind of show the impact of what the ocean does. So you have a full toothbrush here, and then one that's been in the ocean, and then it's broken into different pieces. And when these microplastics are in the ocean, they're the really deadly parts, because what happens is the fish think that they're food. The fish eat them, and then how many of us, like I put my hands up, how many of us eat fish on a every day, every week? So the plastics are entering our food chain, which is just, I think, it's disgraceful. But then these plastics are now linked to causing cancers and cardiovascular diseases. There's also studies to show that the real microplastics are entering our genome and our DNA, so that potentially deformities will occur from DNA. So it's a real worry about what we need to do. So we were like, okay, we need to have a product, and this was what it was: a simple bamboo toothbrush. A simple bamboo toothbrush is something that everyone uses every morning, every night. It's relatively cheap. It's relatively the similar price to a plastic toothbrush, but this is bamboo, natural material, so it breaks down within 6 months in compost. So we launched last year, February last year, with zero investment. We did it out of mine and Rebecca's own money. Me and Rebecca had about £800 to our name, which is about $1,000. And the main reason we had that was because Rebecca's laptop got stolen, and we got an insurance claim. But since then, so February last year, so less than 14 months, we had this crazy target of selling 1 million bamboo toothbrushes by the end of last year. Hashtag 1 million by 2020. We are ridiculously proud to say that we sold 1 million bamboo toothbrushes within 8 months of launching. So by September, we hit our target. And by now we've sold, it's about 1.457 million bamboo toothbrushes. And the big part of that, which I'm ridiculously proud of, is that, okay, yes, we've sold 1.45 million of these, but what we've actually done is we've stopped 1.45 million plastic toothbrushes going into commercial circulation. So there's 1.5, I don't know what the weight is, but imagine if they're like 20 grams each. That's a good couple of thousand tons less plastic entering our oceans because of this little baby. So this is just a few things in numbers. We deliver cleanups as well. So we've done 18 cleanups. I'd love everyone in this group to go and deliver a cleanup, or go and at least go and walk outside, and me and Kia will talk to you that at the end. And we've had 315 people take part. We've collected 625 kilos of plastic and trash. We do plastic pollution workshops in schools, which is incredible, and I'll talk about that in a minute. We've won a couple of awards. We've sold them toothbrushes in 48 different countries around the world. Hopefully we can sell a few more in some different countries from this group to get to 50. But also we've raised money for a charitable side of our business is huge. So that's really a bit about what we're doing, everything we've done up to now. But what I wanted to talk to you guys about, everyone in the group, was how can we change something negative into, obviously, it's quite a big thing at the moment, plastic pollution, and how can we create that into something positive? So for those of you who haven't seen at Bamboo Brush page, please go over to Instagram and see it. I'm not trying to promote it, but I want you to see that we've created an online movement where it's incredible, really. We've got this crazy thing where people take a photo around the world of them holding a bamboo toothbrush like that, wherever they are in the world, and then they put it on their social media. And this is quite a big thing I want to talk about, and the use of social media. So yeah, how can we turn something negative into a positive? We've got such a simple means by having this device here. So let's use it. But yeah, I'm hoping that you can still see my screen. Is that, you can see? Yeah. All right. Yeah. So we've got like Boris Johnson, who's the Prime Minister of the UK, holding the toothbrush, which is crazy. We've also got Richard Branson there, but that's actually not been, we haven't published that one yet on our social media, so that's a little secret bit. But social media, this was our goal as a company. So at Bamboo Brush, one simple change. I'll read it out, but you can read it. Our mission is to use the power of social media in a positive way to educate people on the impacts plastic pollution is having on our planet, but also to ourselves, to inspire and create change and build a movement that empowers people to work together to continue to take simple actions and make simple changes to a greener, more plastic-free future. The big thing in this, we talk about the power of social media, and I massively think that this is so important. So what I want to talk about next is how you guys who are listening, how you can all, whatever you do, whether you're an individual or you're a business or you're a charity or organization, how I believe this is how we're going to create positive change. and how we're trying to run our company so we do create positive change. So the first part is education. Massively education. I think education is the key to everything. The education behind everything that we've done was us seeing firsthand the impacts that plastic pollution is having on our planet, but also to ourselves as humans. And like a couple of examples, we were in Cambodia and we saw a child with a nosebleed. And I'm not saying this is a connection, but the chief of the village said that they believe because they have to burn the plastic, the toxins in the air create the child. That was the reason that the child nose was bleeding. So it's like that. That was our education, first-hand experience of how bad plastic pollution is. And then the power of social media. This is so important to spread awareness and to educate other people, and it's free. For everything that we've done at Bamboo Brush, we haven't spent 1 penny on advertising. We've done everything through this. So, and this is only going to become more ingrained. This is going to become more of a part of us. So I promote this so much that we should use social media in a positive way. So yeah, and it brings people together. So let's spread that awareness. So let's educate everyone in this group. I don't know how many people we've got in this group from different countries, but plastic pollution is everywhere. So let's use social media. Let's take photos, take videos. Goes back to what I was saying at the beginning of this session. Take videos, take photos, spread that awareness. You might be in the UK. There might not be much plastic pollution, but you're watching someone in, I don't know, Holland, and there's plastic everywhere. So that's what we need to do. So that's our first point. Use social media to educate people. The next is inspire. And I think this is massive. Okay, you've given people the knowledge. You've spread in that awareness about a subject which is important to you. So for us, it's plastic pollution, but whatever you guys do, spread that awareness of the knowledge. Then inspire them to take action. So this is the next thing. For us, we wanted to inspire people to swap from this horrible thing, can't find, oh, there it is, this thing to this. But also we wanted to inspire people to go and do cleanups, get out and see how much plastic pollution is out there, and make it simple for people. So make it as easy as possible. And then lastly, and it all encompasses everything, is empower. These are the three main points of how we run our business. Educate people on the knowledge, inspire them to take action, and then empower them that they can go off and educate others and then inspire others to do the same. And then hopefully it's that snowball effect. So we just think it's so important that by educating people, giving them the knowledge, inspiring them, giving them the tools to actually go and create positive change, this will empower people to go and do it themselves and then spread that awareness on whatever their passion will be. So I think these are so important as people to use, but also as businesses, as charities, organizations, whoever you are. Education, inspiration, and then empowerment. And then I'm just going to finish lastly on this is our slogan, which I believe massively. One simple change multiplied by millions, and we will change the world. I think it's so, it works perfectly with our toothbrush. But I genuinely believe that if we all make simple changes in our lives, then simple changes add up. Okay, you've got the government making huge changes, but as people, as the little people, we can all make simple changes, whether it's your toothbrush, you go into your water bottles, you're moving away from something that's single use and a short lifespan to something that's more eco-friendly. So hopefully I haven't waffled on too much. Hopefully I've educated you on something around plastic pollution, giving you some evidence around some more knowledge. Hopefully I've inspired you to make changes away from plastic or get out and do some cleanups. And then I'd love the fact that if we've empowered one of you to go and do that and then spread that knowledge again, I think I'm well happy with what I've done. So that's me. If you've got any questions,
That was
please
so
message.
inspiring, Tommy. Thank you so much. I couldn't stop grinning, and I feel like a lot of people have agreed with you. So there were some questions that I did see for you. One person asked, this is kind of like the problem, like it gets drowned out. But one person asked, are your products, your bamboo brushes, completely sustainable?
Good answer. Good question. Yeah, so bamboo as a product, we'll see. I'm 100% positive of this. In the future, we'll see more and more products going from not necessarily plastic, but to more bamboo products. It grows like, I'm not going to say a weed, but it grows at a ridiculous rate. There's stats that say that bamboo can grow a meter a day. You can literally watch it grow. There's parts of America which I believe that you have to have a license if you have it in your garden because it can grow so rapidly. But yeah, as a product, it is so sustainable. When you harvest it, what happens is you harvest it with about a foot above the ground, and then because of its root system, it will just regrow. It's just incredible. When we've gone over to China, we've been over to the factory quite a few times to see the forests of bamboo. I mean, it's ridiculous the amount of bamboo. So it's never going to not grow. With our toothbrush, we do still have. We're very open and transparent with everything, and there's quite a few companies out there who aren't. But that's just the way of the world, I believe. There is no 100% biodegradable, combustible, or animal cruelty-free toothbrush head bristle at the moment. So we encourage people, I don't have one on me, but we encourage people to, once they finish the use of these, to pull the bristles out or break the head off and then put that into an eco brick. For anyone who hasn't seen an eco brick, go and search it. It's fantastic. It spreads your knowledge about the amount of unrecyclable plastics that you use, and it's a way of reusing the unrecyclable plastics in your lifestyle. So yeah, eco bricks. But yeah, great question. Any more?
So one person asked, how does your initiative help the community most, especially in the environment? I feel like he did cover that with, honestly, the social media, like putting your, like the, how do you say this? Like I've seen this, Tommy, actually, like you've been to so many countries doing all these cleanups, which is amazing. Congrats to you. Also with the 1.5 million brushes, but I feel like you're doing so much for the community already because it does inspire a lot of people to do the same thing.
Oh no, thank you. Yeah, no, my background before I went traveling, I was in education. So being that educational side is like, so I'd say it's quite natural. I feel most comfortable when I'm standing in front of 38-year-olds. So to be able to go and educate and inspire them to learn about something that I'm very passionate about. I'm very lucky to be able to do that. But yeah, we try, and education is massive, and getting people, we try to create action. We want people to actually get up and go and experience things themselves. You don't have to be a genius to change the world. You can just do small things, go and clear up your litter bit of litter, and you're on that sustainable path, which I think is massive. Yeah. Start
Absolutely.
small.
I think we have time for one more question though. Jake asked, if this bamboo brush creates a great initiative, how come it costs more than regular toothbrushes, making some people to be more practical than to be environmental? I'll let you answer that, but I'd like to add on to that, whatever you're going to say.
In all honesty, the price of plastic is ridiculously cheap. We work with quite a few hotels and airlines, and the cost of what they were paying for their plastic toothbrushes, because they're poor quality, they're single-use items, they're paying less than a cent for a toothbrush. I mean, you can't even there's less manual labor in dealing with a plastic because it's just done in a mold. It's poor quality, single use, whereas ours are a lot of the machinery is all handmade, so there's quite a lot more labor intensity, but then that gives more people jobs, which again we love. So yeah, but plastic's just so cheap. It's just ridiculous, especially poor quality plastic.
No, I agree. And I want you guys to understand also that plastic has been in production for more than 60 years now. So there was definitely time to do this. The demand has been so high. Why we use plastic? Like he said, it's cheap, it's flexible, it's strong. But it does create a problem because every single plastic that has been produced today is still here. It will never go away. If you've seen Wally, that is technically our future if we don't stop the plastic tap. Now, that's kind of why it's so expensive at the moment. But this is what I mean. If we raise awareness, if we start heading towards a more zero waste lifestyle, I'm not expecting everyone to do that. But if you do, if you think more green, if the demand gets higher, I promise you, these prices, the cost to produce these things will also go lower. Now, I think that's all we have time for, Tommy. If you can stop your screen, I'd also like to kind of go back a little bit. I'm so sorry. Go back to reminding people for those who came in. So, everyone, if you have just come in, yes, there is a certificate of participation available, but the link to that will only be given after this webinar. This is to give, like actually like more like the fact that you really came to learn. I mean, it is a free certificate. It's important, I understand, but we're only going to give the link after this webinar ends. And so please, when you come in, please turn off your webcam during the presentation because it's, to avoid distracting others so that people can focus on our presenters, and do not flood the chat room. Be respectful to the hosts as well by maybe not promoting yourself or something like that. There's going to be time for that, just not when, a lot of people are, the ones who come here are really interested in learning. So we don't want to drown that out so that I can easily spot these questions and ask our presenters. So yes. Also, now we have, I believe, let me see. I'm so sorry. We have Sustainable Business. Our next topic is Sustainable Business by Nicola Visa Ring from the Philippines. She's the former CEO of Loud Bastard. So to our Filipino friends out there, I'm sure you've seen this product. So hi, Nikki. I will stop my screen now.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Natagas Philippines. Let me just share my screen really quick.
Please turn off your webcams for those who have just entered. We would really appreciate it.
Okay.
So thank you, Tommy.
Cool. So all set, Kay?
Yes, I'm going to put you on spotlight. There you go.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. Good evening from the Philippines. My name is Nicole Ring. I'm the former CEO of Loud Bastard. Some of you, if not most of you from the Philippines, know this product. We are a bamboo amplifier, and you simply put your phone in here and it amplifies your sound. I mean, it's just as basic as that. Now, Loud Bastard was established all for the love of music, and we support livelihood and communities and farmers. We give them income. And just Tommy mentioned this, I'm just going to drop this in there again. Why bamboo? It's because bamboo grows fast. Like Tommy said, it's a weed. So it grows incredibly fast, faster than trees, making it an incredible, sustainable raw materials for production. Now, a lot of you, I read there earlier, some of you people were mentioning during Tommy's talk how you take care of bamboo. It's expensive in the Philippines, in India. So this is what I'm going to explain to you guys, just the basics. Some of you are in business and already know this. Well, some of you have absolutely no clue, and I'm just sharing the basic and general knowledge. All right, so brief introduction. Now, have you ever, when you pick up, let's say let's use Tommy's reference here. When you ever have a choice in front of you of a plastic toothbrush versus a bamboo toothbrush, do you ever find yourself asking, why is it priced like this? Why does it look like this? Or why don't other people understand that it's good? Or do you ever catch yourself asking, how? How is it made? How do they find these things, or where does the process start? That's what I'm going to try to help you figure out today. Of course, you have to use your imagination, guys. All right. Now, before proceeding, I just want to remind everyone why also I'm talking about this is promoting a sustainable business requires ×2 effort. Why? Because one, people are not used to natural products. They're more used to plastic products. So when we started Loud Bastard in 2013, people bought it because it was a trend. It was cool. It was the new thing. However, today, people are making conscious decision to help Mother Nature. And another reason is natural products cost more, like some of you are saying, because of the manufacturing process and the research involved. You guys have no idea. The research involved in these things costs a lot of money. You know, the equipments, the breaking down, the errors you have to face. And sustainable programs involved behind the scenes, communities that you're going to help, and etc. All right. So moving on, I am going to discuss about the process first. This is just, again, basic knowledge. So the first process we have in business is usually called trading. This is what a lot of people or a lot of entrepreneurs or a lot of startups do because it requires less capital than it does to actually start your own production. Now, it starts by the wholesaler having the product, the seller finding it or finding them, and buying a certain quantity. It then ends up in the consumer's hands, but keep in mind, there's a lot of cost that's involved and a lot of effort from the sellers in order to get it from the seller to you as a consumer. After the consumer, obviously it goes back to Mother Nature. Whether it's biodegradable or non-biodegradable, it goes back to Mother Nature. And you should always remember that. Don't always give in to the trends. Make a conscious decision. Think before you want to buy the next thing. So, moving on, we have production. The first one is raw materials. Can't make your products without raw materials, guys. But the second step we have is manufacturing or the production. Now, in a business scale, there are two ways to go about this. If you have the capital and the pockets for it, you can do it in-house. This means setting up a manufacturing area or a manufacturing hut or building. You need to invest in research, people with skills, and you need to invest in machinery. Okay? However, if you don't have the capital, you can always go outsourcing, which means you find someone else who has all the things that you need and you pay them to manufacture your product. Right? After production, we move on to packaging. Packaging is where the company branding comes into play. And this is actually also important too, because today people want biodegradable packaging. They don't only want the single-use plastic. So a lot of companies are trying to make an effort. However, I'd like to remind you guys, there are limitations when it comes to shipping out these products, because sometimes it's the forwarding company that requires the business to wrap it in bubble wrap, wrap it in cling wrap, put extra paper just to secure the product, okay? Keep that in mind. It's not only the sellers, guys, it's external factors too that we have to consider. After the packaging, it's on to the wholesaler, as you saw earlier in the trading. All right, I hope you guys understood this. If you have any questions, just drop it in there. Keel, bring it up, or you can message me later personally and I'll answer you to my capacity, all right? So this is just an example of how we did it in Loud Bastard. I started by outsourcing from another company because I didn't have the capital yet for machinery. So here to the left, you can see Manang. In the Philippines, we call her Manang. It's actually like an older aged woman. It's not a grandma, but an older aged woman. She did the sanding. Now, this is done by hand, guys. We don't joke around, but these were handmade and every detail to us mattered. Okay, to the right, you can see Kuya. Kuya in the Philippines means like older brother. You can see Kuya, he's like standing down there and carving all those pieces. Even though we use machines, we rely a lot on hands. So these are the things we have to consider, and that's additional cost and additional time from us or any person, really. Moving on to sustainable chain. I saw that some of you earlier in Tommy's speech was asking about, is this sustainable? Now, a lot of people might be wondering, what do they mean or something like that. And I'm going to dig into that a little bit. So a sustainable chain. So what we have, hold on, I'm looking for my notes. Give me a second, sorry about that. Sustainable chain, first we have planting of the raw materials. Now, usually you can have an existing plantation or you pay people or farmers to plant it for you in order to harvest from them. So as I was saying, plantations. Now in Cebu, I didn't have any plantations for bamboo. Versus China, they have millions of bamboos there. Like bamboo is their go-to thing, okay? But what I ended up doing is I started finding different suppliers for bamboo, and I would buy from them individually. I would usually try to get the same price. Some were cheaper, some were more expensive. Negotiations had to go down. Okay, and then we move on to sourcing the raw materials. This is in line with planting. I just had to explain this to you guys in depth a little bit so you'd understand. Keep in mind, materials take time to grow, so the manufacturer is always looking for sources, right? I'll give you an example of a lumber company that I knew. They would actually pay different people to plant the wood. They would come back to them in how many years, make an agreement and say like, okay, I get to buy this lumber for the market price or less because I paid you to plant it and watch it. So that's income for them, that's cheaper for them, easy sources, all of that, right? However, keep in mind, just because I plant 100 trees doesn't mean I'm getting 100 trees. Only 50% is gonna survive because of storm, termites, land property problems, etc. There's a lot of headaches involved in these things and a lot of external factors to consider. Now moving on to the communities. So like I said, the communities benefit because they get to harvest and make extra income, which we move on to livelihood. This is how we supported people in Loud Bastard. And then we move on to production, as I explained earlier. You see the chain I'm coming here, guys? I hope you're catching on to this. So cost. Now, anyone who has a business knows all of this, but for you guys who don't have a business or haven't experienced it yet, here's a little basic only knowledge. So the cost that we have to undergo is one, marketing. So marketing cost involves ads, packaging, and all of that. Even just to take a picture, I have to hire a photographer if I'm not good at it, right? But I try to get that skill on my own. Doesn't work all the time, guys. Next, you have the community. The community. We as a business, we are expected by the public to give back to communities, which isn't wrong. It should be the case. Okay, we are expected to give back to the communities and we are expected to support communities. That's why we create a livelihood program. Instead of giving them the fish, we teach them how to fish. Then we have growth. Your business, you want to grow. There is no business on earth that doesn't want to grow, guys. Okay, so growing the company involves research, and research involves money, which I also have to use for marketing, community, and etc. Then last but not least, my love-hate relationship, overhead. Now, those of you guys who know business, I'd like you to drop some, I'm going to open up the chat box real quick. Actually, I don't know how to do that right now, but if you can, drop some examples of overhead that you know of. You'd be amazed that even the smallest, just as internet expenses per month, can come up to a lot if you compute it at the end of the year. So make use of everything. You have to remember every single detail in business. You have to be prepared for costs and know how much you're spending to make sure what you're selling, if I'm selling this at $19, am I making my money back? Am I getting any profit out of it? What? And people complain it's $19 already. You see what I mean? Okay, so I have to end this soon. But here's an example of some programs that I launched in Loud Bastard, which is called One Bastard, One Tree. So I had a program. I actually had a planting. We didn't plant bamboos because I wanted to support tree planting programs. At one time, I was able to do it. So we planted some trees and we partnered up with a local public school. This was done in Mindanao, Philippines, not in Cebu, Philippines. I know only the Filipinos know that. Sorry. But this was very successful. The military and the public school were part of this joint adventure. And here to the right, you'll see an image. It's just a marketing image. But guys, I had to pay to make sure that the people I took pictures with were taken care of. You know, that's a cost from my end. And I had to plan the photo shoot. It's not as like, oh, let's just have a photo shoot. No, you want to make the most out of it and plan. All right. And last, I'm going to discuss to you about the materials, just really quick and brief. Okay. So the imperfections. Now, my experience in Loud Bastard was that a lot of people would like, for example, this is a piece of bamboo, right? You'd have like a black dot there. They're like, oh, it's damaged. I'm like, no, it's not damaged. This is how bamboos are. They're naturally made. If you want something perfect, go buy a piece of plastic, which we weren't about. But you'd be amazed how many people are so used to the plastic mentality of perfection that they miss the beauty of natural products. They're not designed to be the same. They are designed to be unique in every piece. So you're actually getting a premium piece, one of a kind, guys. Next, it's alive. Okay, so back to the bamboo. It's alive. This guy was actually 2 millimeters wider before it came from harvesting production floor. I had to dry this for 3 to 4 months, depending on my temperature within the area. Once it was dry, it finally got into production. But I had to have a certain moisture level. If it wasn't at the right moisture level, I shipped it out, it will crack in the cold because it came from a warm tropical country. If it cracked, I had to replace it. This is an additional cost on my end. But I never complained because I love what I'm doing and I did it for the good of the community and for the planet. Lifespan. Now, remember how you guys brought up earlier, but the toothbrushes, we have to throw away every 3 months. You don't throw it away because it's not usable. You're throwing it away because of the bacteria on the bristles, right? It's the same for the bamboo. You throw it away also, but this time you're not guilty. Because guess what? You can, like Tommy said, you break off the head, you put it in an eco brick, you dispose the rest of the part, it's just biodegradable. Easy as that, right? So this is the thing about eco-friendly products. You don't have that added guilt on you. Then we have, less stock. So here's one of the challenges for me as a person who was limited with capital and outsourcing production. I wasn't able to deliver demand. I had, for example, in 1 month, I had people asking for 3,000 pieces. That would wipe out my inventory because it takes 3 months to dry. It takes another month to produce in batches. So these are the things I have to keep in mind. And these are money that are bleeding out of the company. And I just want to add to the whole sustainability. I forgot to add this earlier. People think that just because you buy from a company, the raw materials are endless. They aren't. You have to make sure that the company is actually replanting. I'll give you an example. In Cebu, in the 70s, we were the #1 exporter of rattan. However, because of diminishing raw materials, no one's replanting. Everyone thought it was available at all times. We started importing rattan. That's something to keep in mind if you want to have a business. Be conscious and ask your supplier if they are also supporting the farmers in the tree planting, because it might be gone one day. So I'm going to end this with nature is timeless. You can have, even though you have to have a piece of bamboo, like the bamboo toothbrush, you have to get rid of it in 3 months for hygiene reasons. It is still timeless. If you have this, I've had this for 2 years and it looks like it just came out of the factory, as you guys can see on my products. But nature's timeless.
Wait. I'm so sorry. Yeah. So Nikki, I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but we are running out of time
sure,
per
no problem.
speaker.
It's good that you did. Go
So
ahead.
I'm only going to get a few questions here. So Sarah Asin asked, what could other materials, like what else could we use technically, like, to have this kind of feature? Because bamboo isn't much available in other countries, which is true.
That's a very tricky question actually to answer.
What your natural resources are in your country.
Yeah, it really depends on what's available in your country. If not, you go on to the trading or the manufacturing process that I explained to you. You outsource it. Don't start doing it on your own. Get someone else to do it for you, because that is still part of a sustainable chain. Just ask the right question, guys. You get a supplier, ask them the questions like, oh, do you guys replan? Do you have a program? Or start your own program like what Tommy did. They would start picking up trash picking up programs or some other ones. Sorry, I can't remember at the top of my head right now. Just because somebody else isn't making a conscious decision doesn't mean you shouldn't. It starts with you.
Yes, we basically, guys, we vote with our wallets. So you can research, you can shop smart by looking at all these other companies, like check out what they're doing, like follow them, look at what they're doing. If they're green or not, you vote with your wallets. If you basically keep buying the same products that are not sustainable, then we're feeding into the same problem. So yeah, thank you, Nikki. I'm so sorry we have to cut those questions short. We will definitely do that after, but yes, I'm so sorry. We just wanted to do this again. So our next speaker is Maud Gerard. I don't know. I don't want to butcher your name. I'm so sorry, but from Italy. She is the founder and designer of Instance, and she will be talking about sustainable fashion for those who are interested, in having possibly your own fashion line, if you can make it more sustainable. Again, voting with our wallets, guys. So yes. Maud, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, guys. Oh, thank you for inviting me. I'm super excited. I wasn't expecting so many people. So, yeah. And it's tough to go after two amazing speakers. Can you hear me fine? Yeah, all good? Yeah. Okay, so like Kia said, today I'm going to be talking about it's going to be a small introduction for sustainable fashion and what's called the Sustainable Fashion Revolution movement. So just a few words about me. So my name is Maud Gerard. I'm 25 and I'm the founder and designer of a small brand called Instance. And I create ethical luxury. Everything is 100% made in Italy. And I just linked my website and my Instagram if you want to go check it out. And I realized there's a mistake, should be an underscore little line, but whatever. I'll show you guys after. But today I don't want to talk so much about my own brand. I just want to talk about sustainable fashion as a whole, because I think it's super important. And yeah, so what is wrong with the current fashion industry? So we have been talking about all these environmental issues, global warming, pollution, and fashion is directly linked to these issues because it accounts for around 10% of the greenhouse gases emission from human activity. So there's a direct link. And the big problem about fashion right now, it's not fashion itself, because fashion is great, it's fun. But the problem is the overconsumption right now. That's really encouraged by the frenetic pace of trends. Like we are always pushed to buy new things, to be on trend, to be fashionable. And that's the biggest issue. And we can safely say that fashion really hurts both people and the planet right now. So I wanted to highlight three things that are wrong about fashion right now. First of all, the volumes of clothing that are produced and consumed are super harmful. Because, today we buy about 60% more clothing now than we did 15 years ago. And why is that? It's not because we need more clothes. It's just because there are many clothes available. There's fast fashion available. And everything is so cheap that it's so tempting to buy always more. Another thing that's super wrong is that we only keep these garments for about half as long as we used to. As I said, to always be on trend, and also because the clothes that we buy are mostly bad quality, so we cannot keep them for a long time. So this leads to this result. Between 2000 and 2015, the average number of times that a piece of clothing is actually worn by someone decreased by 36%. So it's massive. And also at the same time, the production of clothes doubled. So here you can clearly see that there's an issue. And in Western countries particularly, about 40% of the clothes that we buy are never even worn and they just stay in your closet. So the result is that there's less quality, less longevity, too much clothing that's purchased and produced, and on top of it from unsustainable material. And at the end of the day, all this ends up in landfill or gets incinerated, which, as Tommy was saying before, is super harmful also for your health, not only from the environment. The second point I wanted to highlight is that the composition of most clothing is degrading the environment and then also has a big impact on human health. As you might know, most material requires the extraction of non-renewable resources, which has a terrible impact on the environment. So for example, polyester, acrylic, or nylon, which you might see inside your clothing tag, they actually come from oil extraction. Then you have viscose that comes from cutting trees, so deforestation. And then cotton, even if sometimes it sounds, green and all that, it requires a lot of pesticide and a lot of water. So it's actually not that good. Polyester, which is one of the worst in my opinion, is super popular because it's super easy to clean, it lasts for a very long time, it's lightweight, and most importantly, it's very cheap, so it's very tempting for fashion brands to use this material. But to produce polyester, there are around 70 million barrels of oil every year that are used to make polyester fibers for clothing only, like it's not only used in clothing. And just to give you an idea, a shirt made out of polyester has double the carbon footprint than the same shirt that would be made out of cotton. So it has a terrible, terrible impact. And I just wanted to, because we're talking about non-natural fibers right now, but I just wanted to let you know, guys, that even natural material aren't necessarily sustainable because they can require a huge amount of water for farming. And then they can use toxic dyes to add color to the clothing, and also transport can be a big issue. And so even if, for example, organic cotton may seem better for when you buy a cloth made of organic cotton, it can maybe be better for the farm workers who haven't been exposed to toxic material, but it actually requires a huge amount of water, so it's not sustainable at all. And I have a quick example for denim, because I think we all have denim, whether it's a pair of jeans shorts, a jacket, whatever it might be. So one pair of jeans, for example, require 1 kilogram of cotton, but that 1 kilogram of cotton only requires up to 10,000 liters of water. So to give you an idea, it's about what you're going to drink for 10 years. Like if you start today and in 10 years you finish drinking your water, that's the water needed to make only one pair of jeans. So it's huge amount. And a lot of those jeans, they have a stretchy material in it to make them more comfortable, more appealing. And it's actually terrible because the stretchy material is actually made from synthetic fibers, which is derived from plastic. And what it makes is that you cannot recycle the jeans once you're done using them. So it's really bad. And across the lifespan of a pair of jeans, there's about 34 kilograms of carbon dioxide that are released between the time that you produce it, you transport it, and then you discard, which is like the equivalent of driving a car for 70 miles approximately. So it's huge. And of course, there are techniques to make denim less resource intensive, with more natural treatment, and this would involve less bleaching, less sandblasting, and less pre-washing. Basically, everything that makes your jeans fashionable, it's terrible for the environment. And the third thing, and that's wrong about fashion, and I think it's the thing that's the more dearest to my heart, is that the working conditions in the fashion industry are really terrible right now. Many brands, especially European, American brands, they manufacture in Asian countries. I'm sure you're all aware of that. And why do they do that? It's because it's very inexpensive labor compared to the labor in Europe or America. And also that there are almost no regulations in some Asian countries. So it's super appealing for big fashion brands. So to give you an idea, sweatshop workers are paid as little as $3 per hour, and they work up to 100+ hours per week, and conditions are terrible. Some workers even sleep in the factories because they have nowhere else to go because they can't afford decent living. And on top of it, it's poor air quality and extreme heat in some places. Most of these workers are also young women. And on top of having low wages and no adequate rights of safety, they often suffer from workplace harassment. So there are many cases of physical, sexual, or verbal abuse that are reported in these sweatshops. And also, I think we've all heard about it, many children between the age of 5 to 14 are forced to work in these sweatshops in developing countries. So yeah, just to sum up a little bit what I was saying, what's wrong about the fashion industry starts from how the material are done, like how they come about. Then the manufacturing process can be terrible. Workers are working in terrible condition and they're paid nothing. And like compared to the price that's actually charged for later for the final consumers. And then all the fast fashion brands. So fast fashion brands, I don't know, I'm sure you know a lot of them, H&M, Zara, even The Gap, all these brands, Uniqlo, they're fast fashion brands. And so they basically keep new clothing coming to their stores I would say on a weekly basis. You can walk into an H&M store 3 times per week, and I'm sure you can find something new and appealing to buy. But this comes at a cost. And the last thing is that most of these clothes, since they're bad quality and no one actually cares about them, they end up in landfills, as you can see in the bottom right picture. And this is a terrible issue. But the second part of my presentation shows that there is hope, and we can all work towards a better fashion industry. So that's good news. I just highlighted 6 different things that you can do to have a better relationship with fashion and actually make the world a better place. So when you need new clothing, first thing you can do is invite your friends to swap clothing. So it's actually great because there's a double save from landfill, because you're gonna give your friend, I don't know, like a shirt, and she's gonna give you a pair of pants, and you get new clothing, but you didn't produce anything, and nothing goes to waste. The second thing is similar. It's buying second-hand clothing. So it's also super sustainable solution. Because the pieces already exist. So you're saving the entire negative impact of producing. And the last thing is buying slow fashion. So the key concept here is to buy things that are quality. They're going to last in your closet for a very long time. So yeah, I recommend buying basic things made in good condition, and you're going to keep these pieces for years, and that's great. And it will save all these landfill. Oh my god, my computer is frozen. No, here we go. We're back. So the fourth thing you can do is buying from fair trade brands who are going to ensure that workers are paid a fair wage, and it's going to improve the workers' quality of life. So you have a lot of certifications for fashion. But you have to keep in mind that many brands cannot afford those certifications. So you can always ask the little brands, how do you source your material, where do you manufacture, all these questions. And I'm sure if you ask, they will answer. I know I answer because I have nothing to hide. And usually if the brands are not answering, it's probably a bad sign. Another thing that you can do if you want to support animal welfare, you can look for leather and fur substitute to prevent animals from dying or suffering. But always keep in mind that a lot of brands to make these alternatives to leather or fur, they will use non-biodegradable as a replacement. So you have to be careful about that. And the last point is to buy from local brands if you want to support local businesses, because you're gonna save on the carbon footprint that your clothing have. But of course, it's not want to support initiatives in developing countries, for example. So here I have a little wheel with all the steps that you can take to make ethical fashion accessible to you. So, buying secondhand, vintage, rent, swapping, repairing. And then when you're buying new fashion, you can look for fair and ethical brands, high quality, timeless designs, and clean brands, which is like basically what my brand is about. And last thing, if it's available to you, and I feel like it's the most sustainable thing, is to do on demand, because that way you ensure that there's one produced just for you, and that's it. Nothing ends up in landfill, because like brands, they produce a huge amount, a lot of quantities. And then what's not sold, it gets burned or ends up in landfill. So with on-demand, you're sure that it's not going to happen. So yeah, a few tips when you decide to buy new clothing is to look for clothes that are ethical, even if it often entails a higher price. Fashion, if it's cheap, it means that someone else is paying the price. So you want to be the one paying the price, and not the person who works in Bangladesh and gets paid nothing, for example. So yeah, it comes with a higher price, but there's a reason behind it. And the second tip I would add is to look for 100% in the labels of your clothes, meaning 100% cotton, 100% silk, whatever it is, because right now we don't really have the technology to break down the fibers once they're together. So if you buy 100% something, it means that later on it's going to be easier to recycle your clothes. A quick tip when washing your clothes, we don't necessarily think about it, but every time you wash your clothes made from synthetic fiber, like polyester, for example, they will shed a lot of microplastic. And I think Tommy was talking about that before. It all ends up in the ocean, and it's really bad, and it's so small that you don't even see it. So yeah, really bad. So you might want to be like many of us, we wash our clothes very often, but you might not need to wash them as often as you think. Sometimes all the clothes need is to be hung outside and get a bit of fresh air, and then they're ready to be worn again. But it's true, sometimes obviously you need to wash your clothes, and I would recommend to hand wash when possible, or to use a gentle, non-toxic detergent. That's super important. And now just a few words about the fashion revolution movement. So I don't know if you've heard about it, but in 2013, there was that building called the Rana Plaza building in Bangladesh that collapsed. Basically, it was a manufacturing site for a lot of fast fashion brands that I named before, like H&M, Zara, Gap, whatever. And more than 1,000 people died, mostly young women, and another 2,500 people were injured. So this is when the movement was born, and what it wants to create, it wants to call for fair, safe, clean, and transparent fashion industry, because right now, I mean, at least in 2013, it was nothing close to that. And they want an industry that wants to restore the environmental values and people over profits and growth. Even if Nikki said that every brand wants to grow, everyone wants to make money, but it has to be done in a sustainable way. So today you can join the revolution. I think as a community, especially young people like us, we need to take action and understand that the impact of all our little individual behavior actually have a huge final impact on the environment and on people. So of course it's not about being zero waste and perfect, because it's not possible. But it's about shifting your mentality to understand that every little bit counts, and that even very simple things can make a big difference in the long run. So buying ethical clothing from sustainable material and made by people who have decent work conditions is like one of the steps you can take. It doesn't have to be all the criteria at the same time, but like each little criteria can make a huge difference. And also buying less and more consciously, I think that's super important. And on social media, we talked earlier about the importance of social media to raise your voice. You can join the Fashion Revolution movement today. So I linked at Fashion Rev, that's their Instagram, and ask your favorite brands who made my clothes. It's a huge movement right now on social media, and it's also super, super interesting. So yeah, there to ask your brand who made your clothes and see what they answer. And that's it. Thank you guys so much for
Thank
listening.
you so much, Maud. So I was looking at our, how do you say this, our chat box. I think everyone thinks this is so insightful. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm a criminal. This is fast fashion. I've given in to H&M. I'm so sorry. But this is really amazing. Thank you so much for teaching this. It's so insightful. So I've gathered some questions and they all really I'm just going to sum it up to one question because we're really running out of time, guys. So what steps can us, as consumers follow to transition to a more sustainable, ethical fashion?
So what I tell people usually is that there are 3 simple questions that you can ask yourself when you're about to buy something new, because we all want to buy something new because it's very tempting. So the 3 questions are: how much will you wear it? How much do you already own, and do you own similar things at the moment? And how long is it going to last? Is it made from sustainable, no, not sustainable, but something that's durable? Or is it going to be something that, I'm going to wear 3 times and then it's going to be in terrible condition and I'm just going to have to throw it because I cannot wear it? So if after answering these 3 questions, you still think that it's a good idea to buy, then I would say, okay, go ahead, buy it, whatever. Fashion can make you super happy, so you should do that. But if that's the answer is no, I don't think it's actually that good of an idea, I would say definitely reconsider. And
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
look for investment pieces.
Yes, I mean, trends come and go, but they always come back. I know some people still wear their mom's or their dad's clothes, and it's really coming back. So I think we can definitely do that. But thank you, Maud. If you could
exactly
stop, if you could stop sharing your screen, if that's okay. So I just wanted to remind everyone, because I see this popping up everywhere. You will actually receive your certificate of participation only after this webinar. There's going to be a link that will be given, and we are actually going to cross-check these monitors. Because this is recorded, we're going to cross-check those participants who stayed at the end for it. So I just wanted to say our next, before we go, to solar energy, thank you so much for coming to this e-movement. For those who just arrived, if you could keep your chat boxes related to our topic, that'd be really nice so that people can engage more on the topic, and you can self-promote later. You can connect with us after this as well, so don't worry about that. Let's keep the questions more related to the topic on hand. So let's welcome solar energy, Adam Beestrom from California, USA. He's the assistant marketing manager of Q-Cells. I am very excited to learn more about sustainable energy, really renewable energy. So welcome.
Awesome. Hello. Thank you so much for having me, Kia, and awesome presentations, everybody. I feel super inspired this morning here. I'm in Southern California here. It's 8 a.m. It's early, but I am feeling so energized. So love the energy, and I love everything that I'm seeing in the chat box. So this is awesome. I'm going to start sharing my screen. Give me 1 second. Okay, and let's see. Can you guys see that okay? Full screen, is everything good? Yeah, okay, perfect. So I am going to talk a little bit about solar energy. Just to introduce myself, my name is Adam Beestrom, and I work in the solar energy industry here in the United States. I work for a company called Q-Cells. We're a global solar panel manufacturer headquartered in South Korea and Germany, but we have manufacturing facilities all around the world. And we're really proud to be one of the largest solar panel manufacturers in the world, touching I guess, every country that has adopted solar in the world. So we're really excited, and I've been in the industry for about 5 years now, and I'm excited to talk about solar. So I'll jump right into it. Let's see. Sorry, guys. Okay, perfect. So I wanted to start out with a quick question, and you guys can respond to this in the chat. But where do you think that the electricity that we use in our homes comes from? Okay, I see hydropower. Yep. Coal, yes, absolutely. Hydro, coal, generator. Yeah, these are all great answers. Yep. Awesome. Geothermal, solar, yes. Nuclear, yep. Yeah, a bunch of different kinds of sources of where our electricity comes from. So this is great to hear that you guys know. A lot of people don't know where our electricity comes from. I certainly didn't before I started school. I didn't really think about these things until I started studying environmental studies in school. But yeah, certainly there are many different types of sources of energy. So I wanted to talk. So a lot of you mentioned coal, or at least some of you, but I wanted to let you all know that globally, electricity is still mostly produced from fossil fuels. And that number is about 64.5%. And that includes coal, natural gas, and oil, which are all fossil fuel, carbon-intensive sources that promote climate change, as well as air pollution. Only 24% of the world's power, and these statistics are from 2017, but they're still applicable relatively today. Only 24% of the world's power comes from renewable sources, and that includes hydropower, solar, wind, and biomass. Solar only making up 1.3% of that. So solar represents a very, very tiny portion of our energy portfolio, but it is growing. So I wanted to quickly just bring this slide to everyone's attention. I know during these days of COVID-19, a lot of people are staying at home. A lot of production has really come to much less sort of momentum. But I wanted to show this as a really interesting example of what our world could look like if we reduced fossil fuel usage. And with electricity requiring so much fossil fuel inputs, if we transition into an economy that uses more renewable, clean sources of energy that reduces air pollution, then we can start seeing cities like New Delhi, where we don't see very hazy conditions. It's more clear. So you guys have probably seen this online. A lot of cities around the world have posted news articles about COVID-19 creates new air quality improvements. So it's an interesting example of what this can look like if we reduced our fossil fuel usage, especially in energy. So why solar energy? So I think there are it kind of boils down to 3 points. One, for the planet, you're reducing climate change by replacing the need for carbon-heavy fossil fuel-based power plants, including a lot of coal power plants. It's renewable, so you have a constant input, and it's constantly providing inputs. So as long as the sun keeps shining, then the supply of input is infinite. For your health, okay, so solar electricity production is 100% emissions free. So that means very reduced to no risks of conditions like asthma, respiratory illnesses, or cancer that are typically associated with power plants that emit, fossil fuel-based power plants that emit dangerous pollution and toxins into the environment. Lastly, for your wealth. So a lot of times solar is a no-brainer investment. Sorry about that. And so it can really work financially for your pocket. How does solar energy work? So basically, I'm not going to go too much into it, but essentially a solar panel is made primarily of silicon. And the way that it works is that when sunlight hits the silicon materials within the panel, it excites the electrons and produces a current that then is used to power your home or your business. So that's, in a sense, how it works. There are definitely more scientific explanations, but I'll keep it simple for now, just so you guys kind of understand here. And then there are two general primary applications of solar. You can have solar on a roof, or you can have it on the ground. So the left, you can have them on businesses or your own home. To the right, they can be used by major utilities for large-scale solar production. What's really exciting is that the cost of solar equipment is going down. It's been going down for a long time. So I wanted to show this chart just to indicate between 2015 and 2019, we've seen actually a 22% reduction in costs. And so it's really exciting to see that the costs of solar power are becoming more feasible to the masses. So, and that's really sort of making it accessible to a lot more people in the world. Renewables are growing faster than any other energy source. So I wanted to also point out this chart, which I found from McKinsey, a global major consultancy firm that put together this study. So by 2050, it's expected that renewables will make up 73% of the world's energy portfolio. And just going back, I mentioned earlier that 64.5% of our energy portfolio mainly comes from fossil fuels. So in this chart, you can see renewables. So solar generally gets mixed with other renewable energy sources, especially with regard to statistics. So solar, wind, hydropower generally kind of gets clumped up together. But I like this chart because it shows individually what these renewable energy sources, what their growth is expected to be. So as you can see in 2020 right here, we're very small in terms of our makeup of solar, of our electricity production globally, but that's set to grow quite quickly. And by 2050, coal demand is actually expected to fall by 40%. So I think these are really very hopeful statistics. And so it's just great to see that people are really getting serious about solar power. So I want to apply this more to kind of a corporate perspective, because a lot of corporations, multinational corporations and companies around the world are really starting to see the seriousness of investing in renewable energy, which includes solar and wind. But the RE100, which is a large initiative globally, basically is bringing large corporations together who are committed to going 100% renewable by 2050. And these include major tech companies, companies in the fashion world as well. And the list is growing. So I wanted to show. So these companies are actually already using 100% renewable energy. So IKEA, Microsoft, Apple, so Google, SAP, big brands that we're seeing in the business world and also just on a daily basis. So this is really exciting. So these companies are part of the RE100, and the RE100 is continuing to grow. And I wanted to show a quick video just about the RE100. So let's take a look. You guys can see that? Thumbs up? Okay.
Adam, I think you forgot to link it to your computer sound.
Whoop, are you guys not hearing the sound?
Nope. Maybe you can do the option, to do your computer sound. Computer audio.
Let's see here. Computer audio. Give me 1 second, guys. Sorry about that. So select speaker, select microphone. Be under audio settings, right, Kia?
Yeah.
Okay.
Adam, I think you'll have to stop sharing and then come back in and then select.
Yeah, stop sharing and then select it. So while you're doing that, I just want to remind I want to remind everyone, so to those who are private messaging me about their slides, you can honestly connect with us so easily after this. We're going to share with you our connections. Sustainable Solutions is basically a Eve movement that I created, and these wonderful people join, and I'm going to be inviting more speakers who are working in the sustainability fields. It's you can be an advocate, but it's nice to get right. It's really nice to get experience from these people who have already been working in these fields. Like, we're learning a lot. So this is definitely an e-movement created because of COVID-19. So we just want to make a positive impact, and I'm really grateful for all these speakers right now who are here. We're doing this for free. We're doing this because we do want to share awareness. We do believe that because of COVID-19, we have more time to think and discuss about sustainable solutions, because we can create things now. We can really push the initiative. And when more people are aware of this, we can have a voice. I know it can be 1, 2, the fight will probably long, but this needs to happen. COVID-19 is telling us something. It is really trying to show us what we're doing wrong in the world today. And even if it will be a small initiative, it is something. We have to leave our green mark on the world. So yeah, Adam, are you ready? Adam.
I don't know. Let's see. So I have stopped sharing my screen, right?
Yeah, but
I stopped sharing my screen.
Yeah. You can.
Adam, if you then click share screen, in the bottom left-hand corner, there'll be a button that's like a tick.
Okay. Share computer sound. I got it.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for the teamwork, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, let's get going. Thanks, Kia. All right.
The dawn of the clean energy revolution has arrived. Affordable electricity, powered by the sun, the wind, and the oceans, is steadily on the rise. At the forefront of this revolution is a groundbreaking initiative from the climate group called RE100.
The RE100 initiative is a growing group of major influential companies from around the world who are setting targets to go 100% renewable energy in their electricity procurement. It's growing rapidly. There's currently 80 companies that are part of the initiative across a whole range of sectors: IKEA, Google, Apple, General Motors, Tata Motors.
We joined the RE100 initiative in order to focus on getting to 100% renewable energy in our company. We did a deal with a Texas wind farm. We're actually procuring now 112 megawatts of power from the wind farm, which is actually enough to provide enough electricity for our entire IT infrastructure.
Right as we speak, 71% of all energy consumed at IKEA is actually produced by renewable sources. 2020,
यस्तो यो लाउनु त त्यो पुरन बसेको हुन्छ नि तल त्यस्तो हो कि खास त्यो कालो हुन्छ नि सकेको